Welcome to iiocs.com Food Tech Club. Today's topic is Introduction to Food Technology. The terms food science and food technology are often used synonymously. Okay, let us see the difference. What is food science? Food science is the application of the basic sciences to study the physical, chemical and biochemical nature of foods and the principles of processing. So what is food science? Food science is the application of basic sciences. So we study the science behind all the processes happening in the food. So what do we study in it? We study the physical properties of the food. So what are the physical properties? The structure, the texture, color, viscosity, rheology, all these are physical properties. And we study the chemical properties. So what are the chemical properties? The composition of the food. Okay, so the food is composed of various compounds like carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, right? So and derivatives of all these compounds. So the food is made up of all these chemical compounds. We study the nature of all these compounds and how it acts in the process of food preparation. Okay, so and then we study the biochemical nature. So now we know what is chemical nature of food. So the biochemical nature is how those food components like carbohydrates, fats and all acts in our body. So how it is metabolized in our body, how our body accepts all those chemical properties of food. That is studied in biochemical nature. Okay, so we study the nature, all this nature of the foods, and then we apply that knowledge to understand the principles of processing of the food. Okay, so to understand the processing of food, we have to know all these aspects of the food. Then only we can bring out the principles of processing. Okay, this is about food science. Then what is food technology? Food technology is a branch of food science that deals with production, processing, preservation, then find some preservation methods. For this also we need food science, right? To find the preservation methods, we have to study its properties. Okay, we find the preservation methods and we apply here. After that, we pack the food. Packaging is a very important stage. Okay, so packaging maintains the shelf life of the food, and then it gives the convenience to hold for the consumers, and it gives the proper atmosphere for the food, like maintaining the oxygen concentration inside the package or the carbon dioxide concentration. Like that, packaging has many advantages. All these advantages are studied and applied in food technology. Then once the product is prepared, then it is marketed. Okay, after all these processes are under the control of the quality control system. In each and every stage, the quality control system makes sure that there is no contamination of food and every stage is safe. Okay, so the food is processed safely and reaches the consumers safely. Okay, so this is about food technology. Okay, so now we saw what all things we have to study in food science, right? So to study all those things, food science brings together multiple scientific disciplines. Okay, those disciplines are chemistry, all these things to understand the food science. Okay, then what does a food scientist do? Okay, food scientists study more fundamental phenomena that are directly linked to the production of food products and its properties. So this is what the application is. Okay, food scientists, they study the fundamental phenomena. Okay, so that fundamental phenomena is used in the production of food products. Let me give an example. Okay, the non-enzymatic reaction, that which is called as Millard's reaction, right? So that is usually seen in baked foods. So if you take one bread, so the outer layer of the bread will be brown in color. Why is it? That is because of the non-enzymatic browning, that is, which happens between reducing sugars, the carbohydrates, and the amino acids. No involvement of enzymes, right? So this property of sugars was first identified by a scientist called Louis Millard. Okay, so that scientist gave us this concept. Even today it is vastly used in bakery technology, right? Yeah, that is how we apply the fundamental knowledge of the science in the production of food products. Okay, then what does a food technologist do? So food technologist, as I told you before, a food technologist will develop a new product, improve the existing one, and then set standards for the production, packaging, and marketing food. Okay, let us see the combined activities of food scientists as well as food technologists. So this includes development of the new food products, designing of processes to produce these food products, then choice of packaging material. As I told you, for particular food product we have to exactly choose one suitable packaging material so that it will maintain the proper condition, as well as it will make sure that no microorganisms are entering inside, and also the consumer will feel the convenience to hold the packaging material. Okay, then shelf life studies. How is shelf life study done? Once the new product is developed, so it is kept in room temperature, and it is observed for many days. So every day microbiological tests, and then sensory evaluation, and also chemical testing, everything is done. Okay, based on that, how many days the quality of the product is maintained, they will decide the shelf life of the particular product. Okay, after that, sensory evaluation. This is also a very important thing in commercializing a food product, right? So only if the food is appealing in the taste and its appearance, then only the customers will buy it, right? Buy the particular product. That's why a sensory panels and survey panel will be organized, where there will be a lot of people who will be tasting the particular product. Okay, so each individual's perspective will be different. That person might like this product, some other person might not like the product, right? Based on the average liking, they will commercialize the product. That is how sensory evaluation is done. Okay, after that, microbiological and chemical testing. As I told you before, the microbiological load of a particular sample after a particular storage time is tested. Okay, yeah. Next, let us see the scope of food science and technology. The concept of processed foods has caught the imagination of consumers in recent years because of their enhanced convenience, variety, nutrition, and taste. Yes, it's right. Nowadays we are getting so many products which has convenience, variety, nutrition, as well as taste, right? The swelling consumerism has seen the introduction of a range of new products like ready to eat snack foods, breakfast cereals, textured vegetable protein, and so on. Right? All these are convenient food. So, in present generation, people will not have enough time to cook their food. Right? These all are convenient instant foods. Okay, different brands of the same item and attractive packaging have come up for the consumer's attention. That's why there is a huge requirement for food technology professionals in India and also in abroad. So, some of the recent interests of food science and technology are environment friendly processes. So, here they make sure in this technology, they make sure that all the packaging material or whatever material is used is as environment friendly as possible. Okay, like bio packaging and all. So usage of as less plastic as possible, that is the one of the research which is going on now. Okay, next is genetically modified foods. So genetically modified foods are very famous nowadays because by genetically modifying the food, we can get the desired taste, the desired quantity of the produce, and all the desired qualities of food we can get by genetically engineering the foods and then growing them. Right. The next one is functional foods. So in functional foods, the foods will be enriched with some nutrient. For example, the salt. Okay, in salt we get the iodized salt. Okay, so that we don't be deficient of iodine. So the salt is made as a functional food by adding iodine. Okay, next is food microstructure. So this comes, especially it comes in food science category. So food microstructure is the in-depth study of microstructures of the food particles. Okay, so this will give a better understanding of the food and we'll have a better knowledge about the food processing. The next one is consumer behavior. This is very important. So in nowadays people like to have variety, so we have to study according to their convenience. New products should be brought into the market. And next one is convenient products. We spoke about that before. All instant products are coming under convenient products. Okay, then alternative food processing technologies. So here alternative is basically used for all thermal processes. Okay, so in thermal processing methods, most of the nutrients are not retained. That's why cold processing methods are being preferred now. Okay, but most of the cold processing methods are not so cost effective. So now researchers are going on to come up with new cost effective cold processing methods. Okay, yes, we just saw about the scope of food science and technology. Now we have to see about the need. Why do we really need the food science and technology, especially in our country? Okay, let us see why. As per FAO, India is the world's second largest food producer. It is the world's largest producer of milk and pulses. And then it ranks as the second largest producer of rice, wheat, sugarcane, groundnut, vegetables, fruits, and fishes. Okay, so we have so many things going in top ranks, right? We should be proud of it. But yeah, there is so many things going other than that. That is, our country is wasting a lot of food. A portion of its farm produce due to a weak cold chain infrastructure, with 16% of fruits and vegetables being wasted. Students, just excuse me, there is some technical issue. Yeah, let us continue. Yeah, we are facing so much loss, right? So we have to use our knowledge of food science and technology to avoid all these things. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, let's continue. Food wastage in India is driven by the lag in many stages of the supply chain in the country. Okay, there are various stages in supply chain. Like once the food is harvested, it goes into many hands until it reaches the consumers. Okay, until it reaches the processing industry. By then, half of the food will be wasted. If not, it is kept in the proper condition. Okay, India ranks 101. India is in the 101 ranking among 116 countries in the Global Hunger Index 2021, with the least score of 27.5. India has a level of hunger that is serious. According to FAO estimates in the State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World 2020 report, 189.2 million people are undernourished in our country. That is why it is important for the food science and food industry to greatly enhance this scenario, greatly enhance the technology in this scenario of India today. India, being an agricultural country, is self-sufficient as far as productions and agricultural yield is concerned. But due to gross insufficiency of food processing, lack of proper transport and storage facilities, etc., our farmers don't get the value for their toil. The hope of today's India, therefore, is the food technologists who can increase the value of our agricultural yield to 100-fold. Okay, so we had seen that food science has relation with various disciplines. So let us see in detail about that. First one being physics and engineering. Okay, physics can be used to optimize manufacturing processes with appropriately robust modeling, providing valuable information on process performance and efficiency, ultimately helping manufacturers to improve their product and profits. So how do we use physics and engineering? So it is used in almost every aspects of food production. Okay, so first being the modeling. So modeling in the sense designing. Okay, so they first designing the production area, also designing the product, everything requires physics. Okay, then providing valuable information on process performance efficiency. So think that we are doing the pasteurization of milk. Okay, while doing the pasteurization of milk, what should we know first? So we have to see if the CCP, critical control point, that is the temperature required to kill the microorganisms, is met. Okay, if it is not met, then the then the milk is not processed properly, right? That temperature indicators are nothing but the process performance, the valuable information providing instrument that is done with the help of physics and engineering. Okay, so ultimately physics and engineering will be helping us and the manufacturers to improve the final product and the profits. Components of food are now easily characterized through instrumentation, measurement, and imaging techniques. So this means like instrumentation. For example, we have instruments for each and every process in the research. We have a texture analyzer. Okay, so there may be many errors in human analysis. That's why the texture analysis will automatically find how hard the food is, or how soft it is. Okay, so that is called instrumentation. In all these things we need physics and engineering. Then measurement, all measuring instruments. Then imaging techniques. Okay, so imaging the food products, how it is going, how the process is going, imaging all these things uses physics and engineering. Basically, as I told you before, physics is used in every stage of processing, that is developing, processing, packaging, storing equipment and machinery, transportation equipment, etc. In all the stages, physics is required. The branches of food science dealing with the concepts of physics and engineering is called as food physics and food engineering respectively. Okay, so study of physics, concepts of physics in food science is called as food physics, and study or application of concepts of engineering is called as food engineering. Next one is biology. The branches of biology like plant pathology and genetics are involved in the breeding of new varieties of plants. Okay, so plant pathology mainly deals with the diseases which is usually seen in the crops, the plants. Okay, so if we have the knowledge of how to avoid all these diseases, so then also the knowledge of genetics, I told you about genetic engineering there. So all this knowledge if we have, we can breed our own new varieties of plants. Then study of entomology and parasitology. So these two are basically the study of insects and parasites which affect our food products, the shelf life of food products. All these things, if we have the proper knowledge, we will be able to make sure that the growth of healthy plants and animals are achieved. Okay, then lastly, the study of human physiology. This is very important. This is basically about the nutrition. Okay, so the study of human physiology is involved in understanding how food will get metabolized inside our body. Okay, yeah. Then how is microbiology related to food science? So microbiology is a main part of food processing industries. Why? Because it gives us the knowledge of food spoilage, right? So how to avoid those food spoilage? What are the microorganisms we should focus on to get rid of them? Okay, it is mainly used to study the food spoilage. So food spoilage is not only the limiting subject in microbiology. We have other beneficial aspects of microbiology in food science also. Okay, so it is the introducing beneficial cultures to develop products like yogurt, leavened bread, cheese, pickles, sausages. In all these things, like all fermentation processes requires microbiology. Okay, the knowledge of microbiology. So we need microorganisms to get all these products, right? Not only this, in processing and processing techniques like pasteurization, sterilization, irradiation, all these things, we should have the knowledge of microorganisms. To what level, if we heat the food product, or if we sterilize the food product, or if we irradiate the food product, the microorganism will die, okay, will be killed, right? So to know all these things, we have to be knowing about microbiology. Next is chemistry. Chemistry has major importance in food processing sector. Food chemistry is the study of chemical processes and interactions between all biological and non-biological components of foods. This is what I told in the beginning. Biochemical, right? So biochemical nature of the food. So all these things are studied under food chemistry itself. Okay, that's where we have the concepts of chemistry. It informs us about changes in foods taking place during processing and storage, and helps in preservation. All the preservation techniques, if we have to do, we have to know the food chemistry, right? What is going inside the food. If we know that, we will be able to develop a controlling method, right? Yeah. Also, food chemistry provides techniques and ways either to enhance the changes in food, like enhancement of fermentation, or to prevent changes in food, like prevention of browning in apples and pears. So if we know the if we have the proper knowledge of food chemistry, we will be able to enhance or improve the changes in foods, like enhancement of fermentation. We can increase the fermentation process, okay, by adding a little bit of more sugar to some fermenting product. The yeast will get more food and they will ferment the product little better, right? If we know the how the chemical process goes in that fermenting product, then we'll be able to change the product process accordingly. Or to prevent the changes in foods, like prevention of browning, right? So in prevention of browning, what do you do? So any cut fruit, especially like apples and pears, they will undergo browning due to the enzyme called phenolase, right? So to inactivate that phenolase, we have few acids. If we dip the cut fruits like in vinegar and all, the browning will be avoided. All this knowledge is got from chemistry. Okay. Next is the chemical processes that take place inside food determines its nutritional value, taste, texture and freshness. Okay. So the chemical processes in the food that will give us the nutritional value of the food and the taste, the texture and freshness of the food. Okay, so how does it affect the taste? Again, we have the taste taste, like sweetness, spiciness and all these compounds will react with our taste buds, and it will give the taste. And about the texture, so if we know about the properties of the food, like which food will have hard texture, which food, how to make the food little hard or little soft, by applying all those knowledge, we can change the texture of the food and also the freshness. Okay, so there are chemicals which will indicate the freshness of the foods too. Okay, yeah, the importance of food chemistry lies in its ability to counter the effects of decomposition and spoilage and extend the shelf life of foods. As I told you before, so if we know the chemistry behind the activities going on in the food, we can avoid the decomposition or slow down the decomposition, spoilage and extend the shelf life of the food. Yes, let us see the history of food science and technology. Okay, long back, when man discovered fire, he not only found it to be good for preservation but also liked the cooked smoky flavor of the food. Okay, so when man accidentally found that the food could be cooked, okay, cooked, and if the food is cooked, the preservation is little easier. Okay, that when he found that, he also found that the cooked food tastes better for him. Okay, then he started discovering more and more preservation methods like sun drying, salting, fermentation, etc. So some examples of ancient methods are fish drying was first started in Japan, and egg drying is first started in China. Okay, yeah. But still, these methods were not feasible for long storage. Okay, all these methods, they couldn't extend it for long time. So for travelers, soldiers and all, they had to find some other method. Okay, that's why during Napoleon Wars in 1809, a French confectioner and a chef called Nicolas Appert came up with a new method of preservation where the food was cooked in high temperature for a particular time in a glass jar. So what did Nicolas Appert do? So he took the food and he put it into a glass jar and cooked it in high temperature. So until then they didn't know that cooking in high temperatures might increase the shelf life. Okay, they didn't know the science behind it, but he just found that high temperature cooking will increase the shelf life. Okay, this process was called as appertization that during that time, as the person who invented the process was Nicolas Appert, so they named the process as appertization. Okay, now even now we use this process and we call this process as canning. Okay, it is called as canning. Around 50 years later, Louis Pasteur, a French microbiologist and chemist, showed that the growth of microorganisms is responsible for the spoilage of the beverages. Okay, so as I told you before, they didn't know what was the reason of spoilage. They just tried to cook it in high temperature. But then after around 50 years later, Louis Pasteur came to know that it is the microorganism which is spoiling the food, and that high temperature treatment is killing the microorganisms. That is why we are able to extend the shelf life. Okay, After finding this, he also invented a process called pasteurization, where milk was heated to a certain temperature for a certain time. Right? Even now we use this method of pasteurization. So, who was the person who invented the process of pasteurization? Yes, he is Louis Pasteur. And who invented appetization? It was by Nicholas Appert. Okay. So after this, in the history, other notable developments are one is development of the concept of thermal death time by William Layman Underwood. So this thermal death time is relating to pasteurization only. So that thermal death time is nothing but how much time is required, how much temperature is required, and how much time is required to kill a particular bacteria in a particular process. Okay, so this is thermal death time is the combination of time and temperature. Okay, this was not done by Louis Pasteur. So William Layman Underwood, he gave the combination of time and temperature to achieve the required shelf life or to achieve the required processing condition. Okay, yeah. To ensure that all food, the next in the history is to ensure that all food that is consumed is safe to eat, HACCP, hazard analysis critical control point. This system was originated in the 1960s when the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, the Pillsbury Company, and the US Army laboratories collaborated together to provide safe food for upcoming space expeditions. Okay, so this HACCP was basically started to provide safe food for astronauts, space expeditions, people who go for space expeditions. Okay, so they made the system for astronauts. Now it is implied to all the food industry. So this HACCP safety management system is there in all food industries. Okay, yeah. Next is about food processing institutions. Okay, under that we will first see the Ministry of Food Processing Industries. Okay, the Ministry of Food Processing Industries is a ministry of the government of India responsible for formulation and administration of the rules and regulations and laws relating to food processing in India. So what does the Ministry of Food Processing Industry do? So the ministry gives rules, regulations and laws relating to the food processing in our country. Okay, this was set up in the year 1988. In the era of economic liberalization, all segments including private, public and cooperative sectors have defined roles to play, and the ministry promotes their active participation. So this government ministry, it not only takes care of all government institutes, it makes sure that all the private, public and cooperative sectors, they have their own role. Okay, they have their own role in developing our country's the food technology area. Okay, they have to make sure that all the activities in our country has to be in good condition. Okay, yeah. So the main goals of Ministry of Food Processing Industries are, first one being the reduction in the wastage of perishable agricultural produce. So this is what we studied, right, in the need of food science and technology. So this is the first goal of MOFPI. Okay, reduction in the wastage of perishable agricultural produce. Then enhancing shelf life of food products, ensuring value addition to agricultural produce. So this is the one which I told in functional foods. Okay, so value addition gives you a functional food. Then diversification and commercialization of agriculture, generation of employment, enhancing income of farmers, and then creating surplus for the export of agro and processed foods. These are the goals of MOFPI. Let us see some of the major food processing research institutions in our country. There are a lot of food research institutions who are doing great work, but to mention a few, I'll be mentioning these. The first one being CFTRI, which is situated in Mysore, and CFTRI is nothing but Central Food Technological Research Institute. Next is NDRI, National Dairy Research Institute. It is there in Haryana as well as Bangalore. Next is DFRL, Defense Food Research Laboratory. This Defense Food Research Laboratory mainly focuses on the foods to be provided for the soldiers. Okay, this is situated in Mysore. Then NIFTIM, National Institute of Food Technology, Entrepreneurship and Management, which is there in Sonipat and Tanjavur. The last one being NIN, National Institute of Nutrition, Hyderabad, which is there in Hyderabad. Okay, and etc. are the food processing and research institutions in our country. So to give some examples for food industries in our country, it is Nestle, Parle Agro, Britannia Industries Limited, Cadbury, Mother Dairy, MTR Foods, Haldirams, Amul, Hindustan Unilever, Kisan, Godrej Beverages and Foods Limited, PepsiCo India, Quality Dairy India Limited, Hatson Agro Products Limited, Heritage Food Limited, Patanjali and Sunfeast, etc. Okay, let us see about the food quality attributes. The term food quality refers to attributes that influence a product's value to consumers. So attribute, the word attribute means features, okay, particular characteristics or the features of a particular product. Okay, there are different attributes. So the attributes can be negative as well as positive. So some of the negative attributes are spoilage, contamination, adulteration, food safety hazards. Okay, these are the negative aspects or attributes of food products, whereas positive attributes include the color, the attractive color, flavor, texture, and etc. There are many more attributes, these three being the important ones. Okay, so these are the attributes or the features of a particular food product. Okay, so the negative features of food products are learnt in a different section. We will be mainly focusing on the positive features. It is therefore a holistic concept integrating factors such as nutritional traits, sensorial properties. So these sensorial properties include color, texture, shape, appearance, taste, flavor, odor. All these things are sensorial properties, and social considerations and safety. So when we are considering the attribute of a food, we have to include all the things. Okay, so the features, one food product's feature should be considerable by the social people also, like social consideration should also be there. Okay, otherwise that food product will not be of a good quality. Okay, and also it should be safe. Okay, safety is the primary food attribute. Okay, we have to have safety, safe food to consume it, right? All these are positive attributes of food. Yeah, as I told you just now, safety is a preliminary attribute and precursor of quality. In order to ensure that foods are safe and of good quality across the world, various governments and international bodies have laid down food standards that manufacturers or suppliers are expected to adhere to. Okay, so in our country also we have FSSAI, right, which makes sure that whatever food is available for the consumers are safe and are of good quality. Okay, yeah. So in the next paragraph we will see how the different attributes of food in a particular meal. Okay, so imagine that we have a meal in our hand. Okay, first we eat with our eyes. So if the food is attractive, then only we will tend to eat, right? That is why we will be saying that we eat with our food. Then we look at the shape, the size, gloss, and the vibrant color of the food. Only if it is attractive, then we will be picking it up by our hand or fork, right? Once we are attracted by the appearance and color of a food product, we put it into our mouth, and then what do we get there? We get the aroma and the taste of the product. Okay, so the next attribute was aroma and the taste. Okay, after that we will feel the food and we will feel the freshness or the spiciness, sweetness, and other flavor attributes of the food. Okay, this is how when we take a particular food we will be enjoying it. Okay, so all these attributes are considered by our mind. Okay, let us see the first attribute, that is sensory attribute. The physical, chemical, microbiological and sensory evaluations are the main procedures to examine foods for their quality attributes. Okay, so physical properties of the foods. So if they are proper and if they are attractive, the physical is the one which is seen. Okay, which is seen for us. So the texture we can feel, right? And the color is seen. Even the structure of the food is seen, right? Or the physical and the chemical. So chemical properties should be studied by the knowledge of food science. We studied before, right? So we have to study the food chemistry. And then microbiological properties. So we have to see the microbiological load. Is it safe to consume or not? And then sensory evaluation. So we have to taste and check if it is acceptable or not. So all these things should be examined to know the quality attribute of the food. Okay, for a product, sensory evaluation plays very important role for the following reasons. So let us see why sensory evaluation is important. So by using sensory evaluations, we will come to know what our consumers will be liking and why they are liking so. Okay, so as I told you, sensory panel will be formed and individual persons inputs will be taken by the sensory evaluator. Okay, yeah, then by doing sensory evaluations we can improve our testing methodology, and then ensures the sensory evaluation ensures a cost efficient new products. Then people can sometimes detect odorants at levels lower than what can be detected by an instrument. So we have instrument for sensory evaluation also, but at lower levels of aroma and odorants So the instruments cannot detect it. Sometimes it is detected by the people. Okay. And the main thing, the main point to be considered here is instruments cannot measure liking, right? Whether a person likes that particular product or not, this cannot be told by the instrument. This has to be felt by a person. Okay, that is why we have to have a sensory evaluation and the sensory evaluation panel. Yeah. The next aspect is appearance. Appearance is one of the most important sensory quality attributes of fresh and processed foods, products, and their marketing. Isn't it right? So, our first thing to judge a food product is by looking at the food product. So by looking at the product, we will be deciding whether it is fresh or not, or if the color is attractive, if the shape is good. Okay, with looking at that itself, we will decide whether to buy or not. It is an all-inclusive term involving size, shape, texture, mass, gloss, color, and others. Right? So appearance includes everything. So the size of the food product, and the shape, and the texture, mass, even when we hold the food product, we feel. Okay, so if it is heavy, we feel it is filled. Okay, sometimes if it is heavy, for some light products, if it is heavy, we'll feel that, oh, it is not as usual. So we might the consumers will have doubts to buy that. Okay, that is how mass also comes into appearance. Okay, then gloss, how attractive it is, how shiny or how attractive it is. Then color, and still other properties, other external properties come under appearance. Okay, the color of food surface is the first quality parameter evaluated by consumers, and it is critical to product acceptance. Food appearance, determined mostly by surface color, is the first sensation that the consumer pursues and uses as a tool to either accept or reject the food. So color is the basic thing by which the consumer will either accept or reject the food. Okay, the next one is flavor. Flavor is the sensation produced by a material taken in the mouth and perceived principally by the senses of taste and smell, and also by the general pain, tactile, and temperature receptors in the mouth. Okay, so this simple word flavor is a combination of various feelings. Okay, basically flavor is nothing but a combination of taste and smell. Okay, whatever we smell and taste, that combinedly will give you the flavor. Along with that, flavor is also influenced by the pain or the tactile and temperature receptors. For example, when you have something spicy, right? So you feel hot in your mouth. Why is that? The spiciness is not actually a taste. It's a sensation which is sensed by temperature receptors. Okay, it is the heat which will make you feel spicy. Okay, so all these things together will give you one particular flavor. Flavor also denotes the sum of the characteristics of the material which produces that sensation. Okay, the same as I told above. So it is the sum of all the characteristics produced by that particular material. Yeah. In summary, let us just revise whatever we learned today. We learned about the difference between food science and food technology, right? So food science is the study of basic phenomena, right? And food technology is the application of the basic knowledge of food science. Okay, so we studied its need. So why do we need? We primarily need the food technology to avoid the losses happening in the agricultural field. Okay, then the branches we studied about food physics, food engineering, food chemistry, food microbiology, food biology, everything we studied. And we studied a little bit about history also. Then later we also learned about the MOFPI and its role, goals, and also about the other institutes. We also learned about different attributes of food, which involved sensory attributes, then flavor and appearance of the food. Okay. Yes. Students, that's all about today's class. Goodbye for today. For any query, please call the number on the screen. We will meet again in this platform at 8:30 p.m. day after tomorrow, that is 10th of April. Okay, continue your preparation with iiocs.com Food Tech Club. Thank you.